Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Tuesday afternoon, December 1st. We are looking at the SPY ETF's market profile here on Window Trader. And we come out of a balance with a vengeance in all three time frames. Even though I was calling the weekly up to balance, we had been balanced in the last couple of weeks. We explode. First day of the month. We have a monthly gap that held. We're one time framing up in a weekly for a bunch of weeks, and the daily finally pops the 14-day big balance we had from the previous all-time high. Those are all positives. Now, a couple of things. We did not have a trend day up. They attempted early. It failed. We end 9 wide. The POC was raised throughout the day, then got lowered in M period. But the important thing is we hold the gap on both the monthly and the daily. Russell, definitely a different story here. They're in a 5-day balance. They never took out yesterday's high. They have an inside day. So that should make for some interesting trading when they come out of it. To the upside, to the top of the 5-day balance, or to the downside, to the low of that balance. Triple Qs finally made their all-time high today. So all the major indices have made all-time highs within the last couple of days, finally all together. So that's something that's pretty impressive. And they held their gap. As far as my day today, I had a good day. Didn't do a lot of trading. Very upset at myself on a short that I'll talk about that I had. Took off, which I wasn't upset about taking off, but not getting back involved. We'll go over that in a minute. Didn't do a lot of trading. A period opened. I actually took a short in A right before the overnight high, which worked the first time as they front ran it and it backed off. Again, I'm trading Friday's expirations. I bought the 367 puts. It worked out. Then B period starts ripping. I didn't do anything in B. I took a long when it looked like we were going to have single prints. C open, we did. Now, you know how when we don't take out the previous time frames high right away, I look to take a short to fill the singles. Well, this is the one time I still had the long. I'm like, I'm going to hold the long. Let's see. I didn't even care if we went back up to C's high because where I bought them wasn't bad. Well, I said, if we take out B's low, I'm getting out. It filled the singles. This trade, I'm sorry, I started it in B, but it went to C, obviously. C comes down, fills the singles, takes out B's low, I get out, and then basically went right back to where it was. But so I lost on that. Those are the 366 calls. Now, I didn't do anything then till J. Now, we could have, or you could have, in D, E, F, G, H, it became very rotational inside of E's range, where you could have been buying around the bottom of it, selling and or shorting around the top of E. Didn't do it. A bunch of traders in the room did. They did very well. I was looking for a more of an extreme trade, like you know I like. For those of you who follow me on here, you know how I like to see a new high and then fade it back in, or vice versa on the low when we already 7 wide. We were 7 for 7 wide. Then the nuances started. We didn't get there in I or J or even K, but I did fade J. Took a nice 50 put play in the second 15-minute bar when it popped back up a little bit, but never took out the day's high. Came in, started taking some off. The reason I was taking them off because we were one time framing up. I'm like, until we stop that, I'm not going to stay married to this. K period started, it did take out J's low. I'm like, great, this is awesome. Started taking a little off. I'm like, okay, we should get down the POC. And it just stopped dead. Now, it was a nice trade because I took the trade basically at J's high. I added on to it in K around I's high. That came in. Took them all off when it finally came. I mean, I had a nice trade. I'm like, we're not getting much here. I could always put them out if we make a new high again. We had stopped the one-time framing up, but we weren't getting much. And I said to the room, look, one of two things is going to happen here. This is not your afternoon pullback. We're either going to go, if we go up and take out J's high and get extension, we're going to go trend, or this is going to come back in and get more of a flush. Well, now I'm flat. K comes back down, gets back to where it was below J, and starts flushing. Didn't get on board again. The room's asking me, well, where do you think it's going? Well, I think it's going at least a half back and then possibly value low. Didn't get on board again. And what did it do in K and L? Got to POC, got to half back, got to value low. Would have been a home run trade on the short side. And then after that, I did take a long in L around value low in the opening, which worked out. But not for what I expected. I really did expect to get more out of it to the upside. Finally, in M, M went back up to D's low, which actually lowered the POC again. So it was a good day. I only really took I took 4 trades. I made money on 3 of them. But the one I didn't take, and again, that's lack of patience on my part. I wasn't upset that I got out of my put play initially that I took in J. It was a very nice trade, and we weren't getting much. But when K did come back down and finally got below where it was trading at that point, that was a signal that these buyers were finally, GHIJK, were going to give it up. And boy, did they give it up. And then what happens? The shorts pile on. So for my money's worth, all L and M was shorts piling on. So even though it was a good day, I was pretty upset at myself because that should have been a very nice put play to get back in on. Okay. Destinations for tomorrow. Upside, we have 9 wide, 366.31. Then we have the all-time high of 367.68. So right now, we don't have an overnight all-time high for the first time in a while. 2 destinations on the upside. That's it right now. For the downside, we don't have anything to today's low of 364.93. And then there's 2 gaps to fill. The first one is at 364.38. That's a 55-point gap, which would fill the monthly gap. And then today's low of 364.93, and then fill in the daily gap of 363.12, which is a 181-point gap. Below that, we have 361. We don't have anything until 361.22, which was 9 wide from November 30th. Now, let's get to the chart. Sorry about that. My little doggy came in, decided to shake himself while I'm doing my video. Now, charts. First day of December, we come out of a 4-month balance with a gap. We're up, calling it up. Weekly, I was calling it up to balance. Well, again, it's up. We're one time framing up now. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is week 5, folks. Now, we didn't get a lot of distance the last 3 weeks. We're attempting to now. So we're going to see. Does the monthly gap hold? Well, a monthly gap has never held for that long. But we'll see if that holds. Do we get distance away from the weekly highs? It remains to be seen. Same on the daily. We're finally above this whole thing here. That's important to me. To hold 364.38. That's your monthly gap. If it fills, now it's one thing to fill the monthly gap. That wouldn't be the end of the world. However, I would like, if they do fill the monthly gap, you want to see them come right back out above it and start getting distance away from this mess. Because if you fill the monthly gap and get acceptance back into this whole thing, well, guess what? All you did then was stretch the all-time high, and then you're back into this whole mess. And then you have the daily gap that might get filled. Then you have the bottom of the balance if we got accepted back into here. So as a bull, you want to get some more distance away from the monthly high of here, the weekly highs, and obviously the daily highs. Excellent day in the trading room. Even when I do vent, I give a reason why I'm venting and what happened and why I called the market beautifully up there, but didn't take advantage of it. That's what you get out of this trading room for $20 a month. My goodness. All right. Hope you had a great day trading. Come check us out at camelbacktrading.org. Have a great night, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.